For many photographers, shooting in RAW is the best option, but there are times where you may need the pure speed of the camera, so you shoot in JPEG, or the camera has accidentally been left in JPEG mode when you're shooting, and you end up with an SD card full of JPEGs rather than RAW files. But the great thing is you can still edit those images almost like a RAW file and enjoy non-destructive editing. So one way of doing that is editing them in Lightroom. But if you prefer working in Photoshop, there is a really simple way that you can do that in this software. So the first thing I'm going to do here is just duplicate the background. So I did that by pressing Ctrl and J. On a Mac, that would be Command and J. I could have just clicked on the lock on the background layer and unlocked it and used that as my layer. So you can work however way you prefer, but I just like working on an additional layer. So the next thing that we need to do is convert this layer for smart filters. And what this does is converts that layer into a smart object so that any filters that are applied to it become editable. So now when we go up to filter and then camera raw filter, which is a filter that gives us most of the controls of Adobe Camera Raw, which are exactly the same as the controls in Lightroom, we can begin to work on an image as if it was a RAW file. So I'm just going to make a few kind of random tweaks to the image. So I'm going to warm it up slightly. I am going to add a boost of contrast. There's a bit of burnout on the cow's fur there, so let's just bring the highlights down. I'm just going to increase the white point and just holding down the Alt key just to make sure I'm not clipping any of the whites there. So I'm just going to take it to the point where I get a tiny red dot there, and I'm going to add some clarity just to accentuate the texture in the image. And then also I'm going to increase the texture as well, and I could use any of the other controls, but I'm just going to keep things simple here. So once you've done with the processing, you can just hit OK. One thing I should probably mention before I hit OK is that with the white balance, you don't need to add hardly anything at all. It works completely differently to a RAW file, so smaller amounts make bigger differences, which is why I've only added 3 of temperature and 5 of tint. So let's hit OK, and then that's going to apply that filter to the image. So there you can see a before and after. So once you've done that, you can simply save the image as a TIFF, and then you can come back and work on it whenever you want to. If you're completely finished, you could just flatten the image down and save it as a JPEG, but don't save over your original file. Save a new file that represents the edited image so that you have the original to always fall back on. An original should always be left untouched, especially with JPEG. But the reason I first mentioned saving as a TIFF is because we've used smart filters, and the whole point of that is that it makes any filters that are applied in Photoshop re-editable. So here I've got Camera Raw filter, and if I just double click on there, that will open up the Camera Raw filter dialog again for me, and you'll see all of my original adjustments there. So I can make additional changes. So let's just have a little play with some masking. So what I'm going to do here is just select the subject itself. So there, the cow has been selected really, really well actually. But I don't want the subject to be selected. I actually want the background to be selected. So I'm just going to click on the invert icon there, and you'll see that it's inverted that mask. So now I can actually darken down the background to make the cow pop out a bit more, and I can just bring the whites down a bit as well and just deepen the blacks, and then hit OK. And then you'll see once that's rendered, it loads in that new adjustment. So that is why saving images where a smart filter has been applied as a TIFF makes so much sense, because it keeps the image editable and you can make tweaks to it. So that is how to process your JPEGs as if they were RAW files in Photoshop.